Bible prophecy is active and unfolding daily. Zechariah 12, Isaiah 17, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38. Here is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's newscast. You may recall a few months back, I reported that Iran would be getting billions of dollars released to it in early 2016. And from the Washington Post, Iran announced early last week that more than $100 billion in previously frozen assets has been fully released, and that it was reintegrating with the SWIFT international banking network. Iran has been puffing up its chest in recent months, my friends. Watch out, now that they have some cash to spend. And by the way, Hezbollah has strong forces in Mexico, and Iran has weapons manufacturing plants in South America, as well as all sorts of businesses, including one of the richest uranium fields, second only to Canada, in Venezuela. And most important of all, the Iran nuclear deal is not a signed treaty. And so, the next president of the United States is not necessarily bound by this deal at all. There's something to think about. From the Jerusalem Post, last week, 7 Hamas men were killed when a tunnel collapsed close to the border with Israel. Then, Hamas officials confirmed the death of at least 2 of its operatives in another terror tunnel collapse in Gaza last Tuesday. 8 others were reported missing. Then, on Wednesday last week, yet another tunnel collapsed. Hamas blocked off the area and made sure that radio stations did not report any details of the incident. Note, Hamas is using building materials sent to Gaza as part of aid packages for the construction and rehabilitation of civilian houses to build these collapsing underground terror tunnels. And from Ynet News, a year and a half after the 2014 Gaza war, Hamas has built a line of military posts fortified with concrete and sandbags, only dozens of meters or yards from the border fence, about 500 meters or yards apart from one another. And opposite one of the Israeli communities on the Gaza border, a fortified post was erected, flying the black flag of ISIS alongside the Palestinian flag. From the Washington Post, Twitter has suspended more than 125,000 accounts for promoting terrorism related to ISIS since June of last year. Way to go, Twitter. Now, my friends, the team at HalleluYah Scriptures sent me a package last week filled with many of their new, wonderfully helpful productions. We have the creation and the fall and the promised Redeemer on a DVD disc. This has to be played on computers, not on CD players. They wouldn't be able to get everything on here. There's the DVD. Otherwise, you'll hear me doing the narration on this. It's a wonderful package for children. And so, here you'll have the DVD. This is free, not for sale. And it's something wonderful you can share with your children. But along with that, they have this children's book. And see if I can get these in here. It's pretty much what's on the DVD in the book format. And of course, you can get these. This is great, for your kids. You can get these at HalleluYahScriptures.com. You can see the way to spell it. Now, we also have the HalleluYah Scriptures Restored Name Hebrew English Parallel Edition. Now, if I open this up, see if I can get, maybe you can't quite see that, but we have on this side is English, over here is the Hebrew. Now, same thing with the Renewed Covenant books, Hebrew on one side, English on the other. And I'd love to be able to use this to do audio studies. However, you have to be able to fluently read Hebrew in order to, let's say if you're looking in the English and there's a particular word you want to see the audio for, you would have to be able to find that word in the Hebrew. That's not what this is for. The Jewish people have never had a complete Bible with the first and renewed covenants in their own language. Now, this is the first of its kind with all 66 books. The Hebrew text in the First Covenant books is based on the Westminster Leningrad Codex with emendations from the Dead Sea Scrolls. And then the Hebrew text in the Renewed Covenant books is based on the Ginsburg translation with emendations from the Aramaic Peshitta. You'll see a text link for this in the More Info section beneath this video, as well as, text links for the children's book, as well as the DVD. And get this, the soft-covered Hebrew English Parallel Edition, they sent me a leather copy because they love me so much. But the regular soft-covered Hebrew English Parallel Edition is free for the Jewish people in Israel, Yisrael. So, if you know of any believer or group or fellowship in Israel, let me know. You can, put a post, a comment under this video, and I'll make sure that they get their copies. The HalleluYah Scriptures team is eager to find Jewish people in Israel who need a free copy. Another one, this is really a cool book, Messianic Prophecies Fulfilled. This wonderful book contains 300 prophecies of the Messiah, HaMashiach, in the First Covenant. It has the 300 prophecies listed about the coming of Yeshua, HaMashiach, our Messiah. All, from the First Covenant books, alongside all their fulfillments recorded in the Renewed Covenant books. In that's Luke chapter 24, verse 44, Yeshua said, "These are the words which I spoke to you while I was still with you, everything which has been written about me in the Torah of Moses, and the Nevi'im, prophets, and the Tehillim, psalms concerning me, which must be fulfilled." 300 prophecies. If you broke it down to the odds for one man to fulfill 300 prophecies that were written down over thousands of years, it would be impossible, not possible. At any rate, it's a great tool for witnessing and so on. You'll see a text link for that also in the more info section beneath this video. Now, last week, in my word study on Thursday, I talked about demonic strongholds. We all struggle with various sorts of battles throughout our lives. But it's important to know that the weapons of our warfare are not weapons of the flesh, but weapons of the Ruach, the Spirit. Oftentimes we forget that, and we get caught up with anger towards certain people, oftentimes loved ones, not realizing that it's not them. They didn't mean what they said, or, that really it wasn't them, or perhaps you upset someone and you didn't mean to. And we have a tendency to forget that there's spiritual warfare going on, not things of the flesh that we see. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. This is why Yahweh, Abba Father, says in Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6, that it is not by might nor by strength, flesh, but by Yahweh's Ruach, His Spirit, that we win our battles in life. It's not by any efforts in the flesh, but by His Ruach, that demonic strongholds are overthrown. This is why so many are unable to get away from demonic strongholds like pornography, or addictions, or just plain old bad habits. We see in John chapter 8, verse 34, that everyone doing these things becomes a slave to them, a servant to them. I talked about all this in last Thursday's word study. You'll see this graphic at the end of today's video, as well as a text link beneath this video in the more info section. If you haven't watched last Thursday's word study, I invite you to join me in that. It'll be a big help to you and yours. Now, turning to wars and rumors of wars. On Tuesday, February 2nd, from Al Jazeera, the Syrian government launched a major offensive from the north of Aleppo and captured several strategically important towns, while talks in Geneva on a ceasefire continued. Monday's advance opened the way for Assad's forces to retake Aleppo, Syria's largest city, as troops marched through the towns of Hardatnin, Tal Jibin, and Deir Zaytun, if I got those right. Hundreds of families were reportedly fleeing their homes because of heavy Russian airstrikes on the area, assisting the Syrian government's advance. Then on Wednesday, February 3rd, from ARA News, subsequent to fierce clashes with ISIS, the Peshmerga forces of Iraqi Kurdistan recaptured a strategic town in northern Iraq, launching an attack on ISIS headquarters in Mahmur suburb and bombing ISIS positions with heavy artillery. On Thursday, February 4th, from the Washington Post, Syrian rebels battled for their survival in and around Syria's northern city of Aleppo, after a blitz of Russian airstrikes helped government loyalists sever a vital supply route from the Turkish border. The Russian Air Force has mostly targeted moderate rebels, tilting the military balance in favor of Assad and enabling the government's spurt of gains in recent weeks. Then on Friday, February 5th, from Al Jazeera, Syria's army and its allies broke a 3-year rebel siege of 2 Shia towns in northwest Syria, cutting off a main supply route to nearby Turkey. The breakthrough comes after days of rapid military gains north of the major city of Aleppo, with Russian airstrikes playing a key role in the advance. Turning to our Intifada update, on Friday, February 5th, from the Times of Israel, Palestinians overnight on Friday set fire to Torah scrolls inside a tent which had been used as a synagogue at the Givat Shorek outpost in the West Bank. The suspected arsonists piled up the Torah scrolls and set them on fire. Police said that footprints were found leading to a Palestinian village near the town of HalleluYah. The tent, which was unmanned at the time, overlooks the site where the bodies of 3 Israeli teens were found after they had been abducted and murdered by terrorists back in June of 2014. Then on Saturday, February 6th, from the Times of Israel, a 65-year-old grandmother was stabbed Saturday evening by an Arab in the Bedouin town of Rahat in southern Israel as she was shopping with family members. On Sunday, February 7th, from the Times of Israel, an Israeli soldier was stabbed at the central bus station in Ashkelon on Sunday morning by a Sudanese migrant. Another soldier ran after the attacker for nearly 1.5 kilometers before getting close enough to shoot him. Now for our review of last week's news. More than $100 billion in previously frozen assets has been fully released to Iran. 3 Hamas tunnels collapsed in the past 2 weeks, tunnels that were built with materials intended for the construction and rehabilitation of civilian houses. Hamas is flying the black flag of ISIS alongside the Palestinian flag opposite one of the Israeli communities on the Gaza border. The Syrian government launched a major offensive from the north of Aleppo and captured several strategically important towns, opening the way for Assad's forces to retake Aleppo. The Peshmerga forces of Iraqi Kurdistan recaptured a strategic town in northern Iraq, launching an attack on ISIS headquarters. Syrian rebels battled for their survival in and around Aleppo after a blitz of Russian airstrikes helped government loyalists sever a vital supply route from the Turkish border. And Syrian's army and its allies broke a 3-year rebel siege of 2 Shia towns in northwest Syria, with Russian airstrikes playing a key role, cutting off a main supply route to nearby Turkey. Palestinians set fire to Torah scrolls. A 65-year-old grandmother was stabbed while she was shopping with family members. And an Israeli soldier was stabbed at the central bus station in Ashkelon. And that, my friends, is what the LameStream Media is not telling you. Abba willing, I'll see you here again next week. Until then, stay safe. Shalom.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath the naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things. Enter Entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.